Transformed is brought to you by School of the Future International Academy, in short, SOFIA. SOFIA is a non-profit, non-governmental organization which supports educational institutions, school leaders and educators in their effort to improve their knowledge and skills. This way, we contribute to the creation of equal opportunities for every student in the world. This is a series of podcasts where we try to start discussions on various topics that interest the modern educational community. We share personal stories of educators, educational professionals, and students, as we believe that what happens in one classroom or school can happen to more. Sharing approaches and ideas can only help us offer our students more. Through sharing stories of educators and schools, we uncover how universal the experiences within the classrooms and schools are. By exchanging approaches and ideas, we try to enrich the educational landscape and better serve our students.
Today, we are honored to have two of the founding members of the team behind Rangeet, a digital platform for authoring, delivering, and measuring the impact of teaching materials for schools, communities, and families. Rangeet is well known for its own social, emotional, and ecological knowledge curriculum and teaching resources. SEEK, as it is its abbreviation, is adopted by more than 5,000 teachers and over 100,000 students in predominantly South Asia. So let me welcome Simran Mulchandani, CEO at Rangeet, and Karishma Menon, Curriculum and Design Director at the organization. Hi, Simran. Hi, Karishma.
Hi, Natassa. How are you?
I always start these conversations with asking the participants to share the story behind the organization. So would you like to speak to us about Rangeet? What is the mission and the mission of the organization?
Sure. Firstly, thanks so much for having us, Natassa. It's such a pleasure and honor to be here. So you've very aptly described what Rangeet does as a headline. Our mission is to solve for inequities and variability in learning by measurably equipping every child with the skills, well-being, agency, and global stewardship. That means a kinship for all life on Earth that they need to navigate the challenges of the future. And by doing this, helping all children and all communities to thrive. So how do we do this? We partner with government organizations, schools, NGOs to integrate our SEEK. You talked about our social, emotional, and ecological knowledge, or SEEK curriculum. So we partner with them to integrate this into school curriculums in all classrooms. We equip private schools with our SEEK curriculum, which ensure the well-being of teachers and students alike. We author teaching learning materials for publishers based on our curriculum, and as well as providing researchers open access to open source data to advance learning sciences based on learning engineering, which really means using data rapidly to innovate and make sure that we're on the right track. And lastly, empowering curriculum developers through RAS. You might have heard of SAS. So RAS is Rangeet as a Service. So we empower curriculum developers through RAS to digitize and scale up their own programs and bring in metrics to measure its impact. So you gave us a very nice introduction. Thank you very much. And I've sort of built on that with our mission and kind of like a roadmap of how we do it and where we.
Lovely. And do you want to speak to us a little bit about your vision?
Sure. Thanks, Natassa. So Rangeet aims to solve inequities for all children from all contexts so that a child from a small village in South Asia feels empowered to take action to stop, for example, underage marriage. A Chinese child stands up to bullying. A group of children from South America or Africa develop a love for nature and the voice to conserve, for example, water in their own town. And that all children everywhere take care of their physical and mental health and develop the skills they need to thrive for today and for the future, and develop a joy and hunger for learning.
This is so good. I would like to focus a little bit on that ecological aspect of your curriculum and resources, as I think it is very important. So in your expertise, what is the impact of climate change on the well-being of students at the moment?
So
When I was growing up, I never really thought of ecology, the climate, or nature. I kind of always saw it as an external entity, something outside of myself. But I think it's painfully clear now that that is not the case. I think kids today are very aware of that, and they're hearing terms like climate change, global warming, and there's this whole narrative around the doom and gloom of that. But what we're ending up doing is scaring children and not really equipping them with ways in which that they can make a change, have some sort of impact. And something that's really important to mention here is that, ecology does not stand on its own. Only when we're mindful and aware of our own mental and physical health can we then look after those around us in our society, and then that automatically trickles into looking after our ecology and things around us. I think the pandemic was, a really eye-opening event which helped us realize the importance of looking after our ecological systems and respecting all nature. I think, at least from an India perspective, girls end up getting denied education during massive climate events.
This is so true for many areas around the world, and I think that we are not, as a global education community, we are not paying a lot of attention to this. I 100% agree with you with the comments you made that to be able to develop ecological thinking, ecological consciousness, ecological awareness, the children need to develop their self-awareness and consciousness in order to be able to expand this reflexes in a way to climate change problems and ecological problems. So how would them developing this ecological thinking and consciousness and awareness help them increasing their well-being in the future? What do you guys think?
I'd like to start by sharing this beautiful Native American proverb that says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." And just to explain how we do it through Rangeet, we have our ecology umbrella. And our hope is that through this umbrella, children understand the value of nature. We believe you will protect something you love. And if we can help children feel a sense of awe and wonder and love towards nature, whether it's trees or plants or animals, frankly, every living organism, that's when they will value and protect nature. Nature has no back office with an accountant handing out invoices for every drop of water we drink or every tree we chop down. Something we need to understand is that our ecosystem services are priceless. Every living creature, from the tiniest bee to the blue whale, has value and purpose. So we must work towards respecting and protecting all life on Earth.
So I'd like to just add to that, we're talking so much about well-being these days, right? Rangeet developed this curriculum for Oxford University Press. Well-being has become a big focal point in India, which we're really proud of, seeing our education system moving in that direction. And we did this wellness webinar in the month of December where we had 5,000 educators and experts attending it. And some of the most interesting things came out of it. One was that, yes, we're focusing on children's well-being. But what about the well-being of teachers? What about the well-being of our communities? Because everything is connected. Karishma talked about how she saw herself as separate from nature. So how are we going to make these strides is when we start seeing everything as connected. And we're developing now a well-being curriculum for teachers, well-being resources for teachers, which we're hoping to take out. And Karishma and I were talking about this just this morning, about what it means to live a life of wonder, right? What does it mean when you have this great sense of awe about the world around you? You don't just look at a tree as a tree, but you start looking at trees and corals and flowers and fruits and understanding just the amazing services and functions of nature. And it's only then that we begin to become true global stewards, true custodians of our planet. And so I think that it's through teaching the way we teach, in the strategy we have about developing that connection, the currency. We talk about how nature gives us so many services for free. So in understanding all of this, it's that which helps well-being in schools, because children learn that it's within their reach and it is in their power to make a change. And that an agency is one of the greatest contributors to well-being. If you believe you can make change, then it is the largest correlation to your well-being. So you equip children with that power, with that knowledge, with that love, and then boom, all the magic happens.
So true. And also, in order to be able to equip the children, you have to have equipped yourself as a teacher. So I think it's very important what you guys have started doing, that putting the well-being of teachers and the ecological consciousness and awareness of teachers at the forefront will definitely help our colleagues out there transmit, we would say, this mentality and this mindful approach to their students effectively. You have an app on your website. How does your app can help teachers increase the agency for students of their ecological consciousness in a practical way? How can a teacher incorporate it in their work?
So Natassa, I'd like to start by saying, let's not think just about ecological consciousness, because it doesn't live on its own, right? Karishma spoke earlier about the way that our consciousness and self-well-being around our mental and physical health, the well-being of our societies, right? And the well-being of our communities and how it connects with climate and ecological health is all connected. So app aims to achieve that well-being, consciousness, and agency across these three crucial pillars or umbrellas, as we call them, because without a balanced approach, there's going to be some form of imbalance somewhere. So I'll give you some examples, and Karishma, I'm going to request you to leap in if I miss anything. But Karishma and I our app is out there with government schools and community centers all across India. We have been across Bangladesh, and we're now going across the Middle East, etc. But it was so heartening when we visited one of our schools in a little town called Dehradun in Uttarakhand. And the children were called on stage, to the front of the class to tell us, because we were introduced as the people from Rangeet, and the kids got all excited, and we felt like all goosebumpy about the whole experience. And these kids went up, and one story that stood out was this little child who was all of 10 years old in this baggy school uniform, stood up there and talked about an experience that he had about how in the pandemic, one of his neighbor's children, a teenage girl, was being forced into child marriage. And even though it's illegal, some of these things still happen. And he got really concerned, and he talked to his parents and he talked to his teacher and said, I'm learning in school that it's education for all. And the girls are entitled to education. So why is that girl being married off and denied education? And one thing led to another. The girl's parents were spoken to, and the marriage was stopped. Now that's huge. That is a massive moment for us to hear that agency was developed in a 10-year-old child. Similar experiences happened where in the desert state of Rajasthan, children petitioned and advocated for themselves to speak to their local village elders to dig a tube well, because they were learning about water conservation. Rajasthan is a desert state, and water was just getting wasted. And it was either feast or famine in these places. And it's the children, so not surprisingly, children who rose up and said, we think that we should institute certain water conservation methods. We have stories of bullying. We have stories of teachers themselves taking advantage of others and not realizing it. It's all inadvertent. It happens so much, right? Inadvertently, we make mistakes. So lots of different stories. And I'm reminded of something someone said to me, which is so wise, right? If you want to change politics, you change education. If you want to arrest climate change, you change education. If you want to change healthcare, you change education. If you want to change education, you change education. And that's what our app is about. It's about helping teachers increase agency for students across the spectrum, because all of it is interconnected, and all of it is important to form the scaffolding that children need to become better learners. Because it's only when they have that confidence, that self-consciousness, that authenticity, that feeling of agency, can they go into a classroom and conquer the challenges that they face every day.
These are very heartwarming stories. Thank you for sharing them. So, if you could give us, because I think that would help teachers out there, if you could give us a short definition of the word agency and how this manifests in the lives of students, how would you put it in one sentence? Like, what is the outcome that teachers should target to?
So, what does agency mean in people, right? Agency is your capability, your independent capability to act on your own will. So the first step is knowing who you are and what you stand for, right? And the second is saying, so a lot of the narrative behind climate change, for example, I think is pretty negative, right? Oh, there are forest fires here, there's this over there, it's all true. But if we only tell a negative story, you're giving people the information, but on some level you're taking away their agency because they think they can't do anything. What we're doing at Rangeet is we're giving them the knowledge, but we're giving them the tools to act on their will. So it's like these children in Rajasthan. We talk to them about the importance of conserving water, but we gave them a framework for how they could act on it. And that's what agency is, the ability to act on your own free will.
This is great.
One more thing to add. I think something children are not always given when they're children is choice. And I think as human beings, having choices gives us power. But as kids, in a typical classroom, you're kind of told, this is what you'll study, and these are the various periods in a week, and these are the classes you will go to, and this is the homework you'll finish. And all that is extremely important. But I also think if children are given choices where they themselves figure out ways of, helping themselves, helping those in their societies, contributing to the well-being of the planet, I think that automatically gives them confidence and a sense of, again, to add, that sense of agency comes when you have choice. And I think that's through Rangeet, because of the way we teach, which is play-based. There's scripting, there's games, there's role play, there's experiments, and there's no right or wrong. There's children discussing, and everyone's voice in a classroom is important. And I think that really empowers kids to feel like they can make a change. And the idea is, no matter how tiny you might be, you can have positive impact. And I think that's the message we hope goes through to the teachers and the children.
That reminds me, Karishma, of that wonderful film called Horton Hears a Who, in which there's this beautiful saying, a person's a person no matter how small. And so all of us, and I mean just not people, but all living beings. If you've ever had a dog, for example, you give them agency over the things they can do, they will become much better behaved. So, and I have first-hand experience with that. So all I can say is agency is crucial for all of our well-being. And it's the first part of what makes us better humans, better learners, more confident people.
Thank you very much for this. You really opened my mind, and I think the audience's mind, on the importance of agency. That's from what you said, like you gave me a lot of food for thought on how we develop agency in schools nowadays, and if we develop agency in schools nowadays. Let's imagine we have a teacher around us, and they want to start working on helping their students develop agency and confidence and self awareness to, as we said earlier, to be able to navigate better in today's society as a whole, not only ecology, but any other problem that they might face in the future, or any other challenge they might face in the future. If this teacher chooses to use your resources and materials to do so, what would you say are the benefits? How are their lives become easier if they just adopt your resources and materials in their classrooms?
Karishma, would you like to take this question? I think you're so good at answering this because you've developed this curriculum and you know this better than anyone.
Sure, I can start and you can add. So while this curriculum is written to help children with their social, emotional, and ecological knowledge, it requires a teacher to teach our curriculum in a classroom. And we have found that through teaching our different modules, these teachers have understood aspects of themselves, those in their societies, and the ecology around them much better than they knew before. It has also helped them realize when they were discriminating against someone, whether it was in their communities or a child in their classroom. It has helped them understand the value of nature as well. So through teaching children these topics, they have managed to help themselves, whether it's well-being, mental health issues. Not only have they understood how to tackle some of those issues within a classroom, but they've also understood how to recognize it within themselves or family members or community members, and very importantly, asking for help where help is required. It has also upskilled teachers pedagogically. I'll give you a few examples. We have an activity which uses pieces of colorful Play-Doh. So a math teacher was doing this activity in a classroom with his children, and at the end of the activity, he saw all these pieces of Play-Doh, and suddenly he thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to teach geometry with these pieces of Play-Doh? So instead of drawing a triangle on the board, he made different types of triangles to explain the isosceles triangle, and so on and so forth. And he said, I had so much fun because I never thought I could use play-based methods to teach a subject like math. Additionally, teachers are sort of innovating and experimenting with our content. So we have a story in our mindfulness module which talks about growth mindset and resilience. And it revolves around these 4 forest creatures that are friends. And so we went to a class where a teacher was teaching the story to the children, and our assumption was she would refer to the story on the app and read out the story to the kids. But that is not what she did at all. She did not hold up the app. In fact, she had read the story beforehand. She created these little puppet figures of all the animals, and she essentially brought those animals in the forest into the classroom by creating these creatures on sticks. And she jumped and she danced through the classroom, and the kids laughed and enjoyed themselves. And it sort of brought so much joy to us because we didn't tell her to make puppet figures. It's just something she decided to do on her own. And I think teachers are realizing that subjects can be taught in a really fun way. Some of our content can also be taught during core curriculum classes. So for example, if a geography teacher is teaching children about different types of pollution, they can go into our app and search for a game or an activity that deals with that and just infuse a little bit of fun into a science class or a geography class. And I just think that has opened up possibilities for the teachers on different ways and methods that they can bring into a classroom.
I'd like to just add to what Karishma is saying, if I may. If we really look, teaching is one of the most noble professions. to pick up this, it's all about developing young students. And so in so many places across the world, teachers are not given the respect or the time or the space to, execute on their mission, right? They come with so much admin work, they're overworked, they're overburdened, and that's a problem. And so many teachers are on the verge of like kind of burning out and giving up. I was told that in many countries in Africa, it's the dropouts from school who became teachers. And so people look down on teachers. And so whatever Karishma has described is where we look at teachers. We don't believe, we have not built technology to give children. This is technology to make teachers' lives better. Whether it's through helping them with their well-being, giving them better teaching tools, teaching methods, upskilling, but also incentivizing them. And we're coming out with a teacher incentive program to help teachers really feel that they're being recognized and loved for the work they do. So that, finally, we see much better learning outcomes, happier children, happier classrooms. So if I could just give you an analogy, right? When you teach maths, science, and English, think of them as the different floors or levels in a building. And think of Rangeet and its C curriculum as the foundation and the scaffolding. We believe that the building is crucial and all important. We're not suggesting that maths is any less important, but we're saying that with the way we shop, the way we travel, the way we call a cab, the way we order food, all of that's changed, right? But education technology, and I don't mean edtech, but I mean the science of learning has taught us so much. And so we're adopting the latest in learning science and learning engineering to help teachers to make that teaching process better so that the kids are better equipped and they learn math better and they learn science better because they're more confident or they know how to communicate better or they're just much more creative or, collaborative in the way they speak. And so just like you didn't have a mobile phone to call an Uber 20 years ago, you didn't have Rangeet and Seek 20 years ago to teach math in a way that will be loved by all students. And that's our mission. And that's what we believe, that by giving these tools to the teachers, we're making their lives better.
Excellent. Here at Sophia, we can't agree more with this statement. The whole 2024-2025 will be devoted on teachers' well-being. We have read extensive research, and we all know now it's very observable that teachers are reaching to a point of leaving this profession because it's becoming so hard to offer what they want to offer to their children to their students, I mean. And I feel that teachers more than ever want to offer quality education to their students. And because they are burdened with all of these other tasks and duties and responsibilities, and at the same time, not in terms of remuneration in many countries or esteem and respect in many countries, they're not getting back what they deserve. And I can understand how their life is there. So I'm very appreciative of Rangeet and their resources for giving them the inspiration. Even this, giving them the inspiration and making their lives easier, I think can have a great impact on their well-being and on their, eagerness to offer more and explore more ways to teach materials in different, more effective ways. Reaching the end of this discussion, I would like to thank you again, Simran and Karishma, for being here and for speaking to us about your organization and all the amazing work that you do for teachers and schools out there.
We're very, very excited to know Sophia and have such an alignment in thinking. And so this conversation was just so meaningful for us because we're really sort of developing amazing, things together, and we hope to be in touch with you.
Of course, we are, for the audience, Sophia and Rangeet are on a mission to provide capacity training for teachers and students together in the future. We'll see in what form and shape. We'll keep you informed through our social media, both us and Rangeet, and we will extend open invitations to school leaders and teachers to join us on this journey to a more a holistic view on approaching education, both for school leaders, which is where we as Sophia focus more, and teachers and students, where Rangeet's materials and work focuses more. Of course, I will leave a link to Rangeet's website and social media and the ways you can contact the team behind the organization in the description of this episode. Another episode of Transformed is ending. If you want to get in touch with us and share your stories or good practices, you can find us on LinkedIn. Link at the description of this podcast. Goodbye.